30 minutes later, we are here in Brooklyn. Welcome back to my channel. In this episode, we will be spending the day in Brooklyn. Hopefully you can take some inspiration from this vlog in building your day in Brooklyn. We started off by taking the Q train from Times Square to Brooklyn. While there are all sorts of lines that will take you to Brooklyn, this one was fast. So yeah, this is my first time on the Q line as we're going directly to Brooklyn from Manhattan. When I said fast, it was less than 30 minutes. Also, the nice perk was we got an outside view of Lower Manhattan and the Brooklyn Bridge, so make sure to have your cameras out. The first stop on our day in Brooklyn is Prospect Park. I'm not sure where we are exactly in Brooklyn, but I'm going to follow the crowd because it seems like a lot of people are headed to Smorgasburg. If you've never heard of it, Smorgasburg is one of the largest open-air food markets in America. I already ran 3 miles that morning, so I was starving. Here we go. We're finally here at Smorgasburg. I've been trying to get to Smorgasburg for years, every time I come out to New York City, but it just never worked well my schedule. They have it every weekend in the summertime at different areas in New York City, and on Sunday mornings, at least in 2024, I don't know what's going to be next year, they have it on Sunday mornings in Prospect Park. If you like street food or food trucks or street arts and crafts, this is the place to be here in New York City. And this morning, we're here in Brooklyn. Smorgasburg was buzzing with energy and had just barely opened at 11 a.m. Now, before coming out here, I did look at the list of vendors. There was a lot, and I already forgot which vendors I wanted to check out. So I guess we'll make a loop here and visit all of the booths here, or at least check them out. Pro tip. Make sure to bring a blanket or towel to sit on the grass when you eat. They do have picnic tables, but they were always occupied. Wow, that's a massive line for something. Whatever it is, it's got to be good if everybody's in line for it. And we got Mexican over here. If I eat Ethiopian food, I wonder if I'm going to run any faster. Paella party, so you can get paella without having to go to Spain. This looks like a bunch of stuff here. We got lumpia. And then we also have Vietnamese iced coffee. Yeah. All right, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Free kiwi, guys.
Free kiwi. That made it a lot easy. We got the free kiwi. We got okonomiyaki, so we don't have to go to Japan. We got all sorts of buns over there. Ooh, even a duck bun. Going back to Colombia here, a Colombian hot dog. I don't recall having one when we were in Cartagena years ago. No way. I'd seen this on Instagram. A rainbow toasty. See the purple balloons over there where we had entered earlier? So it looks like we're back here at the beginning. We made a full loop, saw a bunch of stands, and I still can't make up my mind. I just want to try everything. Eventually, we got 5 dumplings from Mao's Bao's for $15. They consisted of chicken, lamb, shiitake mushroom, and pork. That is so cute!
Oh, look, honey, behind you.
Oh! From Palenque, which is Colombian, we got the queso arepa and maranita empanada, which is pork belly and sweet plantains. I like ube and calamansi, so we got drinks from this Filipino drinks vendor called Logan and Company. In terms of food, we got the empanada, we got the baos, we got an arepa, and then we got this really cool drink. It's a ube calamansi with Yakult. What do we think of Smorgasburg? Well, I think this was the biggest and widest variety of food choices at a food truck or a street food fair. I wanted to try everything, but we were limited by the size of our bellies and how many hands we can, or how many things we could carry with our hands, which was 4. But definitely, if I have the time, the next time I come back to New York City, I'm going to try to fit Smorgasburg back into the itinerary and maybe try out some of the other locations. So this tool that came with the kiwis, well, it turns out it's pretty good for splitting a bao. After our early lunch, we explored Prospect Park, which reminds me of Central Park in Manhattan. I appreciate how they have lanes for walkers, runners, and cyclists. The Prospect Carousel caught my eye here as we were walking through the park. Growing up, there was this small amusement park called Castle Park that was by my house, and they had a carousel sort of like this, and apparently it was like from the early 1900s. And no, we're not getting on the carousel after eating all that food at Smorgasburg. I would have liked to have spent more time in Prospect Park, but we had other things to check out in Brooklyn. As we left the park, we faced the Grand Army Plaza, which is a stunning public space located at the intersection of Flatbush Avenue and Eastern Parkway. As with any type of construction, it looks like they're running behind schedule because they're supposed to complete this renovation in spring 2024, and it's June 16th right now, so we're almost into summer. From the Grand Army Plaza, we proceeded west along Union Street into Park Slope. Strolling through Park Slope is like stepping into a storybook. The neighborhood's tree-lined streets, charming brownstones, and vibrant community create an atmosphere that is both inviting and enchanting. So you may ask, how old are these homes? Well, this one here says built 1885, so pretty old. Oh my goodness, what is this? This is not Smorgasburg. I have no idea what that street food festival is, but it looks fun. More food over here. Now I was wishing that we didn't stuff ourselves at Smorgasburg. We got some mice or corn. It looks like it just keeps going on and on. We've already been through 2 blocks of this street festival so far. TaiwanFest, okay. And we somehow wandered upon TaiwanFest in this street fair place. This was bringing back memories of the night markets in Taipei. I'll leave a link to that video in the description. Oh, Peking duck crepe. I love duck. I tell you, New York has the coolest food here. So we have Southern cooking with Korean kick. This was what I found impressive. Ramen and cheese. Park Slope is such a wonderful neighborhood to explore, with its beautiful architecture, friendly vibe, and street festivals that bring the community together. Dinosaur Barbecue. I wonder if this is the same one in Syracuse. No, really, I do wonder if it's the same one in Syracuse because that looks like the logo. We kept walking for another mile on Union Street and entered the Coral Gardens neighborhood. It looks different from the majestic brownstones of Park Slope. And here is why we made that walk from Prospect Park across Brooklyn. It was to visit this game shop. So what games are you looking for?
Marvel.
Meanwhile, while Jason looks around, I'm going to stand in line for a drink. I'm not into board games like my husband is, but I do know a thing or two about pandemics as a healthcare worker. I don't know much about games, but I do know about food and drink.
I want to just ditch all of our plans tonight and stay here because at 6 o'clock they're playing a game they're doing a board game tournament of a game called Root, which is my favorite board game. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no. Our iced coffees were served so we can continue the rest of our tour of Brooklyn. Now we're on Court Street walking north towards Brooklyn Heights. I haven't seen a Macintosh apple in a long time. When I lived in upstate New York, we would go apple picking in the fall. No way, I haven't seen a United Artists Theater in a long time, not since I was a kid. As we were getting closer to Brooklyn Heights, we could see the skyscrapers. Now, on to our exploration of Brooklyn Heights for the history and the sights. We didn't take the train, but we could have. But here is the Borough Hall Station. And now we're going to take a walking tour of Brooklyn Heights. And this over here is the Brooklyn Borough Hall. The Brooklyn Borough Hall used to be the city hall for Brooklyn when it was its own independent city, until it became a borough as part of New York City. And talk about old, this building was completed in 1848. So I guess I understand why this is called Court Street, because over here is the Supreme Court for the state of New York. Here we are on the corner of Court and Montague Street. So Montague Street used to be the main thoroughfare through the commercial area of Brooklyn. It's also known for its grand architecture. See what I mean about architecture? So this building 185 Montague is supposed to be Art Deco. And if you scroll down here, that is the fanciest Chipotle I've ever seen. I love these street markets here. This building here, which is currently undergoing renovation, is supposed to be a Greco-Roman temple. I mean, it's just a mishmash here. I mean, we got Greco-Roman, we got Art Deco, all here in Brooklyn. Just to cover our bases here, we got Gothic. This used to be a bank. Actually, it's still a bank, but look at the original architecture that's left. And these iron gates here, this all looks original. Another thing that's original, this night deposit box. I don't think anybody still uses that, right? Not in the age of online banking. The center of Brooklyn history, preserving Brooklyn's history, I guess. Wow, so that's what Brooklyn used to look like. And this is what they imagined? That's nuts. That's what Brooklyn looked like in the 1940s. Well, at least I recognize the Brooklyn Bridge. Such a lovely neighborhood to be walking through here in Brooklyn, but then over here is the New York Supreme Court, or the Appellate Court. Seems a little out of place here in the neighborhood. This here is the Herman Baer House. Just look at the beautiful architecture. Most notably, take a look at the stained glass. This building used to be a hotel, it used to be a store, and it used to be a brothel. I guess it had all sorts of purposes. Now, I think it's just a residential home. And just to orient you, we're somewhere around here. The Brooklyn Heights Promenade was my favorite part of our walk. What a treat! Take a look at this view of Manhattan. As many times I've been to New York City, I've never seen Manhattan from this viewpoint before. The iconic skyscrapers seem to float above the water, creating a picture-perfect postcard scene. I couldn't help but marvel at the beauty of this urban oasis where the grandeur of the city met the tranquility of nature.
Could you take a picture of me with that statue with that person on the pedestal kind of over there?
You mean that lady?
That's the one.
That's the one? Okay. The Promenade, a beloved destination for locals and tourists alike, offered a breathtaking panorama view of the Manhattan skyline, along with the Brooklyn Bridge, of course.
Hi, kitty. Oh. Would you like some attention? This is like purebred ragdoll.
Hey, kitty. Oh, wow.
As much as you, it's doing a clock.
It's doing a clock.
Aren't you pretty?
This here are the Queen Anne buildings. You could see the intricate brickwork here. We're not in Denmark, or at least not yet, but this is the Danish Seaman Church. And look, it has a Danish word here. I'm gonna botch it up. Danish Soma Godskirke or something. I know I just botched that up. Brooklyn Heights is often referred to as New York City's first suburb, and it's easy to see why it's such a beloved neighborhood. The streets here are lined with gorgeous brownstone houses, each with its own character and history. This house here used to be Truman Capote's house, and he was the one who wrote Breakfast at Tiffany's and In Cold Blood. Over here is the Plymouth Church, and that is a statue of Henry Ward Beecher, who was an abolitionist. And there is Abraham Lincoln over there. And I'm going to assume this is a newly freed slave. And this place over here used to be part of the Underground Railroad, and they held a lot of freed slaves here. Apparently, he was a great speaker because they used to have to ship people by boat over here to Brooklyn to hear him speak. Again, just to remind you how old Brooklyn is, this building here was built in 1820. Now we're walking along Columbia Heights. Straight up ahead, you can see both the Brooklyn and Manhattan bridges. Speaking of which, now we're at the Brooklyn Bridge Park. I've walked across the Brooklyn Bridge a couple of times, but I've never seen this area, or at least seen Brooklyn from this perspective before. The wooden walkway reminds me a lot of the High Line in Chelsea. There's even an opportunity to get some forest bathing. At the bottom of the park, you can see the Statue of Liberty. I wish I had brought a zoom lens. There's traffic from the BQE or Brooklyn Queens Expressway. Everybody, when they come to Brooklyn, they always try to get that iconic shot in Dumbo, but here we are right by the Fulton Ferry on Doughty Street or something, and I don't know, the view here is pretty spectacular. Over here is the Eagle Warehouse and Storage Company, where Walt Whitman used to publish a newspaper. Yeah, that's the same guy that wrote Leaves of Grass. No way, it's the world's first Michelin star ramen. Here's a better look of the Eagle Warehouse and Storage Company again, where Walt Whitman published his newspaper. Right on the corner of this block is Grimaldi's Pizza. Right next to it is Juliana's Pizza. Supposedly, these are the two of the best places to have pizza in Brooklyn. And notice I said supposedly. Actually, I think the best pizza in Brooklyn is Emmy Squared, and I ate at the Williamsburg location years ago. Just over here, there's a lot of cool cafes and eateries. That's why you see a lot of people hanging out here. Wow, take a look at this view of the Brooklyn Bridge. This view never gets old. We are now in the neighborhood of the Fulton Ferry Landing. Underneath the Brooklyn Bridge is the famed River Cafe. It looks like something from a fairy tale. Like, I don't know, maybe because of the gardens here. Oh, here we go, the River Cafe. Just curious, what does the River Cafe serve? Here's the menu. Oh, whoa, they serve foie gras. Okay, this is pretty fancy then. I could not go to Dumbo without getting this shot, because everybody gets this shot. You'll see here in a few seconds. Yep, it's that iconic Dumbo shot. You know what I'm talking about. Now, the first time I went for this shot in 2017, it wasn't cordon off to pedestrians. I actually had to watch out for trucks and cars going down the street. I almost got hit by a FedEx truck, actually. But the things we do for the gram, right? Yeah, talk about people coming out for the gram. We got somebody doing a wedding shot here. Probably some TikTokers. This is where you go to be Insta-famous. Even though this particular segment of the Manhattan Bridge has been posted countless times on social media, a trip to Brooklyn wouldn't seem complete without a snap of it. Evening was starting to set in, and we had dinner plans in Manhattan. Today's trip to Brooklyn made me appreciate this borough more than just being on the other side of the Brooklyn and Manhattan bridges. That was a fun day in Brooklyn. Now we're taking the train back to Manhattan. From trying different cuisines at Smorgasburg in Prospect Park, strolling by the historic brownstones at Park Slope, to admiring the breathtaking views from the Brooklyn Heights Promenade, where the Manhattan skyline stretches out before me like a glistening jewel, Brooklyn has truly captured my heart. This is a borough full of history and its own unique vibe. I hope I inspired you to check out Brooklyn on your next trip to New York City.